I was at the gates. Ram's legs, my pizza black, my plant's dead, my planet X, I might bleed green. And what's under the uncut chia seed? And what from the guillotine? A little flea and tick, a little fever dream, a little plea the fifth. Roadkill, I'm off leash, I don't heal, and I'm hung from an unkind mobile. I turn one misstep and a bone meal. Look, daybreak, I'm lights out. My con sleeps upside down. It's sci-fi. Red tide, my high by. Make record time. I go 3, 2, 1, D6 times. No lie till death, he get in line. K-Hill spawn, I'm no joke. I eat brains, I throw bolts. I know easy prayer, seen broken oaths. I go marching in, I'm all out, yo. I know rodeo from these pony shows. I don't stay for tea, I can't slow the code. I go coyote, alone and ghost. I'm in the smoke your nose, throw to go fresh pop, my favorite mug. Ace rock, my bass sucked. Agent of all things deep six. To feel like I was put here to keep the crypt. I get tired of bread, I might eat the rich. I ain't seen a leader, just feed a fish. You want free, let me do. I was at the gates. Wolf's head, my boots on, no. They know both sides of that tough love. They're both mud, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Straight up and down, don't even I was at the gates. Snakeskin, my hood low, don't say. They know both sides of that bloodlust. They're both mud, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Straight up and down, don't even bother. Rat tail, my backdrops, all black sails. Dog biting my bird curse. Cross-eyed, world's worst. Troglodyte, I might split the blinds. I'm like Vince Van with that instant rice. I write cryptograms at all waking hours. Tattoo the mail on all paper towels. I'm on the kitchen walls. I may paint the house. Could reach the yard, so mega bound. Game face on dour days. Y'all gangs like How Queen. Gangway for that false start. Burst freight trains through stalled cars. Shame, so whack. Show you back to this maw jar. Death wish from day one. I wake up and it rain blood. Rain check these shows. I'm donezo. My brain's mush. Drum roll, I might straight. Loose tooth in my spit shake. Every possible Futurama come trooping out of his pill case. And I ricochet in my steel cage. One still heart and 2 wheels eyes. Few meal bars, a good field knife. I feel good, no field guide. Just deicide by D5. One say the whole glow stick. And like 2 bites, I do this. I mean, yo. I was at the gates. Wolf's head, my boots on, no boot. They know both sides of that tough love. They're both mud, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Straight up and down, don't even I was at the gates. Snakeskin, my hood low, don't say. They know both sides of that bloodlust. They're both mud, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Straight up and down, don't even bother. Bare paw, my handshake, oh dear God. Bare bones, few air holes. Barefoot, my square glows. Scarecrows, who goes there and like who's where when that snare closed.
All right, I messed up my cue terribly and cut the song earlier than I meant to, but it's okay. I think we're all good here.
First question, who was that?
Yeah, so Aesop Rock.
Nice.
Been around forever. One of my favorite artists. Go check out the album Labor Days. Probably my top 5 hip hop albums.
Not to be confused with Aesop's Fables.
or ASAP. Any of the ASAP guys. ASAP been around longer than that. So
I might need that invoice paid ASAP.
There you go.
Oh,
exactly.
Dooch.
Guys, man, I'm still recovering, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Days of sleeping later. Everyone recovered from the parties?
No.
Still feeling it?
I'm still tired, man. Things got lit at the after party, but the whole thing, like, I know it's cliche, it's beyond my wildest expectations. It really was. Like, I don't get me wrong, like, I'm not cocky or anything. I did see the turnout, but like year 3, year 4. I didn't see this year 1. And that's like the truth.
Yeah.
Mitch, still not recovered. It's okay.
Honestly, Dan, every single person that came up to me or talked to me or texted me, that's the very first thing that came out of my mouth or out of their mouth was, I can't believe this is a first-year conference.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you got everything put together and you're like, year 3 or 4. But the first year, oh my gosh. Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. And then when I'd heard, I think it's a pre-party when there was a line down the street. People coming in to pre-register.
I was in the back, man.
Maybe this is real. Maybe this is good. Maybe this is real. It feels real now.
I thought it would be like 50 people in the pre-party. I was late because my big truck can't fit anywhere on those streets, so I had to go like far off and walk. And so we were in the end of the line. Michelle found me. Shout out to Michelle. She came and got me. Hey, are you letting all these people in? They all put your name on the list. I'm like, yeah. So I got in. The line was around the block, man.
And the cool thing is I'm seeing all these comments on LinkedIn now, and now I have like a personal experience with every single one of these. They're so cool.
I mean, it was amazing to, and I'm so bad, so I apologize to anyone who I didn't recognize. But like, start to put like real faces to names was pretty. I mean, it was pretty dope, more than I expected.
One day was not enough, man. I got people
Agree.
messaging me, "Hey, I didn't want to come up to you. I didn't want this to be a fan-driven thing. Like, I appreciate what you do." We really needed more days to meet everyone because there's a lot of those stories that were like, I wanted to meet, they wanted to meet, but we didn't have a chance. Even me and you, Brad, like we
We
didn't
barely
even.
talked. I feel
I
like
know,
we had like 2 short conversations and like a little bit of a
and a podcast.
podcast taping, but like we were working. It was like running. I'm with
Yeah.
you. I think having a more than one day would be nice, and maybe that's something we talk about. I
That's
mean, I don't want it to turn into some of these like 4.5 day long conferences.
I think 2 days, 3 days is not bad. 2.5.
I think, yeah. So the pre-registration party, I think, was a huge hit. Definitely want to do that at the end of a day, and then maybe 2 days. I think would be nice. It would be helpful to get through. If
The
anything, just
after
to
party.
catch
You know
up.
what people told me? Multiple people came up to me during the after party and said, "I go to these things all the time. No one ever dances." Everybody was dancing. Like even people don't know how to dance, myself included, were dancing.
Yeah, it got pretty popping in there. I just like when I've gone to some conferences recently, it's like what do I do or where do I go afterwards? Like I want to keep hanging out, but unless you find the little clicks or whatever, it's really hard. And even then there may be like 5 different things going on. So just to have like one official thing, if people want to break off, obviously they can, but then just having an big official thing where everybody can meet and kind of decide what to do from there. I thought it was pretty cool.
So far, all over LinkedIn. If you've been on LinkedIn, you've probably seen something about SOS. So
Man.
far, and I tried. I went to the sponsors and I said, "Tell me what we did wrong. We want to do better." And the big one was, what's funny is I thought we had a tough time with shipping and receiving. Like the university had a hard time with doing that. And sponsor says, no, that's not the thing. In fact, we didn't have our crazy booth, and we probably talked to more people at this conference than we had at any trade show ever. And it's
Thank
because we
God
didn't
the
have a
sponsor.
booth. It was all personal.
And by the way, thank you, Fox, for doing that, and Ashley. I know you two
I was
went
gonna
around
say
to
shout out
every
to
single
Ashley
thing.
for sure too for doing all the MC work, and yeah, Fox. We couldn't have done it without the sponsors, for sure.
But like Fox and Ashley went, my regret didn't go around thanking every sponsor. I interviewed a few. I got busy with caught up in my own world out there in the podcasting world. But I regret not going to every sponsor, shaking their hands. And so thank you, Fox and Ashley, for doing that.
You're
Fox
muted, Fox.
is a muted Fox.
Sorry, I've been forming a relationship with these sponsors for a year now. That's the one thing about the online webinar. I felt like they were all friends. And so to come to each one of them and say, was it okay? How'd you do? How'd we do? What can we do better? Let us know if you want to come next year. We've already got most of the sponsors are saying you can count on us. So,
And we got the FOMO from the ones that didn't. We're
Yeah.
getting them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So, I think we've seen a lot of the positives. Like, what would you guys have done differently? Or what maybe, what's something that didn't land as well as we hoped it would? Do you guys have any insight? Because it's the first time, and I don't expect, we didn't hit perfection. Everything wasn't probably exactly the way that we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So like, what would you guys jumped out as maybe something we would do differently next time?
I would have had, a couple of things. Some are minor, some are major. I would have had a better breakfast, man. I wanted some eggs. I wanted some protein in my breakfast. And like it was just pastries and carbs. So I think that minor, but that's something. And then another day, and maybe I run around, do less podcasts. But you ever tell a podcaster to do less podcasts? I don't think it's possible. So I think the
Especially
extra day.
you of all people, man.
Yeah, I regret not meeting more people, like shaking their hands, sponsors, like I said. That's about it. But it's kind of hard
Well,
when
I
there's
was I
that
wasn't
many.
kidding. I bet I hugged more people in those 2 days than I have in like 20 years, like, combined. So I
It's
tried to get out there
insane.
and talk to people. And Patty, we did
Mhm.
give out some evals. We have not seen the results of those yet. I don't know exactly when we're doing that, but we definitely want to take all that stuff under consideration because again, this was our first run. So I'm sure there are things that the crowd, had some insight in that maybe wasn't apparent to us as
Yeah.
the people who were helping,
It's
put it together.
compiled, Patty. I think we have well over 100 write something down, and we'll be doing that over the next couple weeks. The one complaint that I heard a couple times was acoustics. The room wasn't great.
Mm.
It was an echoey room.
It's pretty echoey. So,
It's
I mean, that's a
that
venue
was
that
very
can make any
evident
done.
on my live stream. Another regret, we didn't record the panels themselves.
Mhm.
Like next year, maybe there's a virtual component. But that was another regret.
I think, and this is just a personal, I mean, we haven't talked about this, but I went in and tried to look on as many of the like little breakout sessions, and they were all like way more packed than I expected them to be. And I also think they were way more like engaging
Yes.
in a lot of ways. It's hard to do a lot on the main stage. I almost feel like the main stage is like, we have to keep it kind of broad, but people want that granular stuff. So a world in which we have like maybe less main stage and more breakout or some kind of different mix. Maybe it's not less, maybe it's just different thematically, like next time.
My prediction is the same amount of content spread across 2 days, because that was a packed day. I think it was uncomfortably packed. I mean, half of my day was running around. I'm sure you guys ran around all the time. But the candor was there. That was cool. Honestly,
Ashley says more one-on-one time with the
yeah.
audience. And honestly, the feedback I got, and even from conferences I've been to, we had a pretty damn engaged audience compared to a lot of places. So that's
Right.
I was honestly, I wouldn't say I was surprised per se, because I figured the people who were coming were they weren't coming just because it's another show you got to go to. They were coming because they really wanted to be there and like talk about this stuff.
Yep. The quote that I heard was, "The people in the audience look like they actually want to be here."
Well, usually there's, I go to a sit-in, I'll listen to the first 10 minutes, and if something's not hitting, then I'm kind of like, I'm going to go wander around. You really didn't see that. I feel like the main room was always pretty full. Which again, I was a little bit, I don't want to say like surprised, but in some ways I was a little surprised that it stayed.
And you're right,
Pretty
retention.
full.
The audience retention. I sat in the back when I wasn't up on stage to look specifically at this. People were there. They weren't sleeping. I even told my wife, who was sitting next to me, look, there's like almost no one sleeping, and a lot of these people are hungover as shit.
Right. This is good feedback from Addison. Audience was great. Didn't want to miss the sessions, but more dedicated networking moments during the day, which I think we tried, but you're right. And we talked about this. I think it was brought up, like, you don't want it to be like bam, 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 back to back, to have some gaps.
That off time is the important time. That's where people get to talk to each other.
The mixer was good. The after party was good, but the music was too loud, was a complaint.
Yeah. It was a little too.
Can't have both though. And
yeah.
I think what made it was it was raining outside. So like if you wanted those quiet talks, it was like kind of cold outside. So you had to like do it inside comfortably. And
dude, I got hit in the face with hail walking over to
in Arizona.
The spot.
Welcome
I was like,
to
what?
Oklahoma.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I might as well be in Oklahoma, man. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you, Patty. I mean,
trying
to talk it out.
Ice cubes from someone's cup that was mad at you.
Could have been somebody throwing stuff in my face. Yeah, I think we're trying to keep this all sort of like public and everybody in on it, right? Because shouldn't just be what we want it to be. I think it should try to be as much as what the whole community wants it to be, which is where we can be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And take that direct feedback, where it's not some like, random LLC conference maker in the background, like really pulling the strings on the content because they're just trying to sell sponsorships. We're trying to continue to create something valuable over time. So I appreciate that, because I feel like we're babies, man. We're babies when it comes to this type of stuff. So
Not anymore. Now we're like toddlers.
that's
Also,
true.
the big challenge that I think we're going to have is, this was a great first conference, but I mean, that's a honeymoon. You don't want, I mean, now we've set a bar for one thing. And the other thing is, when people come back to these conferences, you don't want them to say, I heard this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's going
something
to
I
be
brought up to you guys in our private Zoom yesterday with
Mhm.
Chris. Like, we don't want to be most artists' best album is their first, and then that's it. And a lot of that is because it's their best stuff, like from their life, that they put in, and then the next album's just kind of rush because they want to do something different. That's where it's tough, man. And the best artists put out album after album. They just put out classics. So that'll be our biggest challenge, in my opinion, is this was like, I feel like 20 years of my career, like, in one place.
Yeah,
Same with you guys, right? And next year is going to be like, how do you do the same but different? I already thought, like, do we bring the same panelists? Do we bring different panelists? I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Well, I think that's part of the beauty, though, is that I think we nailed it well enough that we're going to get more buy-in, which I think is going to be more help and more content from the community, right? Because we were kind of just pulling together the best we could. And now I think, like, people are like, oh, okay, well, this is real. This isn't just some guys online screwing around. People are going to want to be involved.
True.
Yeah, true. Okay, that's fair. Still partly true.
But we dropped a classic album, to use that analogy or metaphor. We dropped the classic.
I think so, but yeah, like, to your point, you want to keep that same hustle, right? Like, it's not like, you give up. Hey man, it was good to see you. Kartik, there were 2 Kartiks running around, and I was excited to see that.
I met you, Kartik. Yeah,
he was awesome, man. He's got a new site coming up.
Nice. Yeah. So
he's hitting it pretty hard.
I appreciate that. I mean, that feedback, I think that kind of like stuck out to me. 2.5 days, the same basic format. Yeah, I think we could do some insane stuff. So it's good. A little validating to hear that feedback.
I'd like to take a little bit of chunk of the future conferences and make it like a call to action. This is what we did over the year with what we learned last year. Like something like that, where you at least show progress. I think that's going to be something that nobody else is doing.
Ashley, jump on if you're not busy. You're welcome to come on and talk. I'll send you the link. Just shoot one of us an email real quick.
Now we get the MC on. They did a hell of a job. I was like worried during the rehearsal, like, man, I hope, like, because they're first time MCs. They never done. They're site owners, and Ashley's like a project manager for a sponsor, soon to be site owner. Like, they're not professional MCs, but now they are. Raul was joking he's gonna do a. Raul was joking he's gonna do a MC Academy next year.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Oh, the Steve Wimmer wants a 5K, right?
Hey man, you go run your own 5K.
Yeah, man, you're insane. I had to do
around here. They have something called they call it the Fat Ass 5K. That's a big thing around here. You go do a 5K, and like every corner, there's like stuff. Obviously like donuts and hot dogs and the stuff that you don't have when you run a 5K.
Perfect.
I'll do that one.
I'll tell you what. This is Wimmer. This is not telling me who it is, but you sponsor the 5K. There you go. I'll have a sponsored 5K and part of the event. I like that idea. I don't dislike that idea.
That might be the first event I don't go to. After? That's insane.
Can you run with a microphone after? Run after?
Oh, okay, I'll do that. I'll chase the guest. Hey.
You gotta pod and run at the same time. That's commitment, man. That's commitment right there.
Good work. Right. You could pull it off.
So what about the content? So I had a lot of people talk about content. They loved Brad in a wig. It was awesome.
Oh, man.
They loved the game show, Dan. They loved the game show, that interaction with the audience.
Jeff, I told you that would work, man.
It was great. What did you think about the content? Like, what would you have liked to seen different?
First of all, I was nervous. Recorded. I was nervous about the record, and that was a big request, even like from the jump. I just think we didn't have the resources or the time this first time out, right? I mean, because I think obviously we all are chronically online anyway, so it seems silly to not do that going
That part
forward.
was rushed. The video team did great, but we brought them in like last month, so them and the conference planners probably didn't communicate properly about what we wanted. And then like we have a lot of marketing material, a lot of like highlights, but the recordings, I think that's like extra two or three people for the teams that next year would get definitely gonna do.
I emailed you, Ashley, a link. So let me know. You should be able to jump on.
Oh dang, Ashley's gonna come amazing.
So this is something I heard talked about, which was interesting.
Like an ACRP kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of like, I mean, that sounds like way more work than I want to.
Ashley brought that up to us after on Sunday.
Yeah,
And that's exactly what I said, bro. I was like, yeah, it's a lot of work.
I wonder if there's a way to do it like our way, a little bit different than, I've
maybe like a flash mob thing. Like, hey, the SOS truck is here in XYZ. You ever done that Hello Kitty truck? They take the whole tour across the country and I don't know, whatever.
We could jump into one of Care Access's vans and drive us around and do a little pop-up.
The wheels are still on that van, or they fell off?
Dan, can we buy a taco truck?
Don't
can we take a taco truck tour and just go across
the taco truck? I think that's more sustainable than a Care Access one, to be honest with you. Man. I just like getting
awesome to meet you, Valena. Yeah, the video team was awesome, man.
Shout out Daniel Rodriguez. He is now on LinkedIn because of all the people he met.
Well, so that'll be my charge. I'm looking for sponsors now. We're starting up the whole 2025. We got to find enough money to run next year. Everyone says we'll see you next year. No pressure, right? Let's make that a goal. We have to try to raise enough money to video the panels, if that's something you guys are up to.
We will. So maybe have a virtual element. I don't know. We have to meet as a team.
We'll have to talk about it. But I know that everyone wanted it. We just couldn't afford it this year.
All right, so start taking guesses on what attendance is going to be next year. Record it now. I'm going to clip this for next year's intro video.
Judy was closest to the guess. I will say 777.
Not bad. All right.
I'm going to shoot for the moon. I'm going to say 1125.
Holy crap.
I'm telling you, it's an exponential growth. Say 1125.
I'll say right in the middle, about 850. Just split the difference there. We'll just see what happens. Well, and another question is like, do we want it? How big do you want it to be? As big as it becomes? Or at some point, do you water down? Does it become too watered down as it gets too big? Does it start to lose its identity? I wonder.
Yeah.
Just thinking out loud. I know that there are some events that, because I think even the innovation gathering was like sort of more invite only.
Yeah.
I
did see they upped it up to 150 this year. So if anyone wants to go to Innovation Gathering, there's 50 more people that can go.
Ashley's coming on to you.
Hey guys.
What up, Ashley? How's it going?
What's up? Good. I am still kind of recovering, so I will not get on camera.
Coward.
Fair enough.
Coward.
Fair enough. I know, right? Yeah.
Well,
I was
you just spent all day. You spent the whole day on stage, so I guess you get some time off.
Thank you.
My voice was gone all day yesterday. I don't know how you still have a voice.
Oh no, I pretty much didn't really talk yesterday, and I don't know if you can hear it a little bit. I lost my voice on Saturday, but that was more because of the after party. I was having a lot of fun.
People were dancing, Ashley. You said you were
Yes.
one of the many people that said nobody dances at these things.
Yeah, so shout out to Joe from Greenfire. So, and he knows this. I was telling him all of Friday that when I had gone to another conference, I think it was ACRP, which was a good conference, but when we went to all the after parties, everybody was just standing around, and Joe, I remember him saying, "Man, I just, I'd like to dance," and so we got up and danced with him from LACR. And we didn't care that there really wasn't a dance floor, but I remember saying, if we had a conference, I'd make sure that people would dance. So Yeah, I mean, one of the things we did is I was like, "All right, let's go take a drink, come back, and let's start dancing, get everybody on
Ashley
the
and
dance
Ivory were the first ones on the floor, and then after
Yeah,
that, everybody came up.
yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot
I
of
mean,
fun. I had a lot of people say, "I've been in the industry for so many years, and this is what I've been wanting, and this was awesome." And it was great. It was really, really great. I enjoyed it so much, to the point where even after it ended, a few of us actually took it downtown till like 2 in the morning. So it was nice.
Troopers. That was not me, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm old.
yeah, I had to
Sure.
I had to cut out early by Friday night, man. I think it was I only made it till like 10:30 or 11. I was like,
Mhm.
so good on you guys.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was a lot of fun, and I do think that some of the really great things that happened at the conference is everybody was able. I love that people felt comfortable enough to pull us aside and talk. Because even though I was on the stage most of the time, I made sure that I brushed out at least for 10 or 15 minutes in between to actually go and pull people and say, "Hey, how are you doing? How are you enjoying it? If there's anything we can do for you, let me know." I mean, just pretty much working the floor because if there was anything I could take back, it would be, having more prep time for the emceeing. Like pretty much, I would like a version of memorization just so that when we were in breaks, I don't have to be in the back kind of reviewing everything. I could just be out there speaking and talking to people and getting to know as many as possible because I was hearing so many amazing stories and I wanted to keep engaging with that, and I enjoyed the emceeing for sure. I would not mind doing it again. But I really, really enjoyed getting to know
All right, you
everybody.
just said that on tape.
Recorded.
And I'm gonna need to, relax my voice for sure before. It was funny. Jeff was at the pre-party. He was coming up to me and he was just like, "You need to save your voice." And we were all there drinking and having a good time. Luckily, it was okay
Because
the
he didn't
next day.
bring you some tea with honey in it to make
Yeah,
sure you'd be
Just
okay.
straight tequila shots better.
that works too. That works too.
And that was the other part that happened a lot was people coming up saying, "I want to be part of this. Let me know if you need help. I want to help with this. I want to be part of it." So
Yeah.
my guess is we'll have a pretty good list of people who are pretty prominent in the industry who want to participate, which is it's humbling. That's exactly why we did this.
Yeah, Mitch Hilby actually had mentioned, which I thought this is really, I personally love this, was he was saying that, we need to have a specific group that is just geared towards, bringing on individuals that want to, Mitchell, you're here. um, yeah, he had said he wanted to kind of do a thing where, people come together that are wanting to be volunteers, but even do a previous event or during where you can go into the community and maybe stop at like a hospital or something. I thought that was awesome. I would love to do that.
Yeah, that's
Well,
really cool. It's the
that's cool.
first I had heard of that suggestion. So
Me too.
yeah, that is awesome.
Well, it makes sense to show your strength as a front line. And then, that's where we're at is the front lines.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Hospital,
if
local
anybody's
school, something.
there from a medical institution that does research, wherever the next conference is at, we can maybe find somebody that would actually be attending that's from there and maybe, help us get in and do some sort of volunteering
That's
or
very
shape.
doable. Even like a
Yeah.
smaller town like Tucson, there were 4 sites from Tucson that were there.
Hmm.
So I think it can be done.
For sure.
Yeah, and I like the idea too that like I mean I don't know if this is something we continue, but like kind of not, we're not doing Boston and Orlando or whatever, kind of these like smaller cities which
Hmm.
don't have, they're not as saturated, not I don't say saturated, but they don't
Yeah.
have that
They're off
that
the
kind
beaten
of,
path.
yeah. That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah, it's a
Understood.
little harder to travel there, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah,
It
that's
may
true. I think
also,
that can be challenging, is like just getting the
yeah.
travel right,
We
because I
got a
think
few complaints. Actually, a fair amount of complaints of I wish it was easier to get to.
Mhm.
Yes, I had one person say that they took 3 or 4 flights just to get there. I was like, "Wow."
Well,
I
and that's the
complain
other
with
thing
just
is
2.
that could filter out commitment right there.
Mhm.
Want to come to
Yeah.
SOS? You really want to be here? It's Gonna take a little bit of an adventure to get there.
Antarctica 2026.
Yeah.
We can get that sponsored by. I can think of a few.
Wow,
Brad,
Dan.
Brad knows what I'm talking about.
I know where
Wow.
you're going with it. I know where you're going with it. I mean, I kind of like the concept of doing it that way. Again, it's a little bit different, but does create its own problems. Even I got stuck trying to get back to Oklahoma City, and eventually, luckily, made it. Without having to stay an extra night, but it was pretty damn close.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
You know
Dan,
what-
what would you do different?
Go ahead, Dan.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Like personally, or
content.
like as the conference?
As far as content goes.
I would have had definitely. I would add a panel for career seekers because we
Mhm.
kind of had that one, a panel one, but it was really for sites to choose who they're. If you were a career seeker, you could reverse engineer that in your head and say, okay, this is what they're looking for. But one specifically designed for career seekers, either research naive or those already in research that want to move up to the next position, maybe from a different organization type, like site to CRO, CRO to sponsor, sponsor to tech vendor, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Having a panel on that is a definite must, especially considering our very affordable price point, where we are encouraging these kind of people to come. So that would be something we definitely. I'm actually surprised we didn't have anything like that, even though we knew going in like that's something, right?
Yeah.
So that I would do that differently.
That sparked another one. How many people did you meet there that said, "Hey, I want to start a site and I need to know how"?
Oh my god, man!
That's
You have
It was
awesome.
no
insane.
freaking clue.
How
Mhm.
many bootstrappers were there? It
And
was
people you would
insane.
never think like CRAs working
Mhm.
like, and they're keeping this stuff secret. Like, hey, I'm watching your videos. Thank you. Like, I think I'm gonna do this. People got emotional, man.
Yeah.
Like 5 or 6 people in tears at different times. I don't think it was all alcohol induced either. Like they were like, I'm really
I
gonna
got
do this.
emotional too.
I had someone rub my belly. That was weird.
Is that for good luck?
I'm
Like
so
Buddha,
proud
or,
of you. It's like, what the hell are you doing? But that was one of the requests. Is we really want more content.
hey, at least get
for
to know me first.
Yeah.
before it calls it-
buy me a drink, Josh. So a panel or something to support the people who want to start a site. But I know you made like a video
Yes.
and you called it like a couple days ago on your video, but that was a request. Is more, how do I start a site? What do I do? That kind of a thing.
a big segment of like the audience are living vicariously through us
Mhm.
as site owners, and there's a reason they follow us, and that's a big one.
Well, there's that, you read about like, only 10% of people online actually comment, only 1% are creating content. And then there's like,
Mhm.
whatever, 80, 90% are lurking. And like,
hmm
it's weird. Like you see that in real life, like in a way, because you're like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's bigger than even, it already looks big. If you go look at LinkedIn afterwards. I mean, I was
Yeah.
shocked by how many people had posted, but then you think about it may be 10 times that in terms of people
Yep.
paying attention,
I was super grateful for those that actually did massive paragraphs on their experience and what they felt, what it meant to them. Even more so, those that made the articles. Really appreciate that. So, shout out to you guys if you listen to this later. One thing that, kind of seen, and especially what you guys just mentioned right now, knowing that there are a lot of people wanting and prepping for site ownership, keeping them in mind when we build out what the next conference will look like, for sure. One of the things I liked was that the diversity break, the deep dive session or breakout was extremely packed. I actually jumped around to see them a little bit, and that one was extremely packed. So I think one of the things that I would like to do is find a way that we can build into that, right? So everybody clearly wanted to be at the actual panels, but then they also wanted to be at the breakout. So I think kind of doing a segue where you just kind of go deeper and deeper and you separate more and more a little bit so that people can choose to kind of further gauge, and really inviting, Arabs in clinical research. We had Dr. Danawi there, which was awesome. Shout out to him. I'd love to invite, these other diversity organizations that don't get a platform, like Crowned. It's a new one. Sinks in clinical research. I mean, invite all these organizations in, give them the platform for free. Give them the option to show if they'd like to show and come and speak, and then find ways, because I know that for certain regions, right, connecting with some of those organizations may be extremely valuable for some sites, especially those that are coming in that are new, right? And already having that connection immediately would be great. Because I know that for other conferences we've gotten as LACR, we've been invited, but there's really not a platform for us other than just come and make a booth or
Mhm.
just come and walk around. And people don't really know, right? And so giving these organizations platforms can really make a difference for them, but even more so for those that are actually looking to connect and ask questions, as opposed to just trying to ask what they can during the exhibit hall breakthrough. So,
So, Ashley, we had that open mic. You were walking around. Did anyone use it?
open mic, yeah, people use it.
Good.
There was actually one particular thing that was brought up, and I talked to Dan about it on Saturday. Was somebody mentioned, hey, why don't we pop up in regions? And I was just like, oh, like chapters kind of really. And they said, well, I guess you could say that. And I honestly think that if approached correctly and not like, what the current process is in other areas and other orgs, but a different, and I have an idea and I'm going to talk to you guys about it, but if we approach it a certain way, I honestly think it could do so much for the community. And those are one of the things I'm really excited to talk about, because I mean that would be kind of like a 5-10 year project really, but nonetheless it's something that can be very, very beautiful for the community, I think. So yeah.
I mean, sites aren't going anywhere, right? I
Yeah.
mean, at least not for now. So I mean, they'll still be there in 5 or 10 years if it takes
They're
that
going
long.
to the bank, venture capital bank, or
Yeah.
the bank to get petty cash to buy dry ice. That's me.
Maybe both.
So my prediction, what I'd like to see is, of course, we're going to have to start pounding the pavement to get money to pay for this, but we're still going to send out an agenda for like the democracy, vote on what
Mhm.
you want to talk about. I think that's helping the sites feel like they want to be heard,
That was critical.
and just
Yeah.
try to include the sites in every single part of this development.
Mhm.
Like the online community, the people that we're serving, that's the steering committee. We're
Mhm.
just driving.
And I think
And
this
I,
time also doing a vote in the breakouts. Breakouts. So once we get the agenda, decide what the breakouts will be, have them, kind of do a vote in each of the breakouts, I think, so that we can dive further in that. That's geared towards what they're wanting. I think just ultimately giving everybody a voice for every move. Well, I mean, the general idea of the move, right, that we're making.
Well, and even the breakouts didn't really like become a thing until pretty late in the game, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I was even like proud that we were able to get those together as quickly
Mhm.
as we did, all things considered. And
Somebody
again, to
was
be able to walk in them, and I was like, wow, I was like, wow, these are all full.
they're
All the ones I went
full.
to were full. I was really
Mhm.
just blown away.
oh,
Someone
that
was
negotiation one
complaining.
was a blast. I've never heard so many people laugh about negotiating. They had a lot of fun with it.
Robert told
Yeah,
the show. I missed that one, but that's what I keep hearing. The
I
break.
heard.
Somebody complained that the breakouts. They wanted to go to all the breakout sessions, and
Yeah.
they were mad that they overlapped. And I told this person, I
Yeah.
said, "Thank God then for Chris, because he was insisted that the panels don't get and this overlapped in the same time." And that person
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, I can't imagine that's even an idea. No way."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Yeah." So we compromise on the breakouts. This
Yeah.
is why I think like multi-day is best
Yeah.
to fit everything in. But remember, we almost overlapped panels. People would have hated that
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I really loved how, I was, behind the curtain most of the time, but I was absolutely enamored about how everybody was just laughing. Like even with before me and Raul went on stage, just with like our fun facts and stuff, I immediately felt at ease because you tend to go to these conferences where it's just there is clapping and acknowledgement, but I feel like laughter is the direct way of connecting with people. And so immediately once I heard laughter before coming on stage, I'm like, all right, this is going to be great. And as we just continued on through the day, there was just more and more laughter. And it didn't feel like a conference anymore, to be quite honest. And once
Yeah.
we got to the ending, I was so surprised because me personally, like Brad, I kind of just dwindle out. I honestly have never made it to any ending ceremony ever, so I don't know how those really go. And so when I came out on stage, I was really taken away that it was so full. And that also everybody really did well with the toast. I also was worried about that it wasn't going to hit with everybody, and everybody just really went with it, and it was very
Chris came
beautiful.
through with one from the heart.
Yeah.
He was the last person I would think would come up with the toast, but shout out to Chris.
Yep.
At least one person got drenched by some spilled drinks, but other than that, yeah, I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah, the pre-party helped ease my nerves. I was like a little bit I wasn't prepared for either of my panels. I was just gonna kind of wing it more or less. And I was a little nervous, like, how's this gonna go? Then I went to the pre-party, and the more people I talked to, the more I'm like, these are just people like us. Like, just be yourself, talk to people like you would talk to yourself, and I think that helped ease my nerves a little bit. And I think it had the same effect for you, Ashley.
Yeah, I literally went back to the Airbnb and told Raul because he kind of went there earlier than me. Obviously, I didn't get there till like 2 in the morning, but I remember telling him like, we're gonna be fine. This is our tribe. Like we're fine. These are the people that are just like us. I think we're gonna be okay, and that's why I think we aced it in the opening compared to the prep because we finally got to see and meet
Yeah.
our audience.
Well, I think that was awesome, and Dan Schnell's article, I think, actually like made me feel good because he was like, we're doing, like dressing up like a judge. I'm like, what I didn't want. Well, obviously, I want to have fun with it, but I don't want the content to get lost in like the thematics or
Yeah.
the performative aspect. And I think paraphrasing, but like the levity did not take away from the professionalism necessarily, like, and
Mhm.
the way Dan, we're just normal people, like just be normal, be yourself,
Yeah.
like, and I do feel like that was, you don't see that, you get some guy in a suit and a slide deck on stage and you're like, dude, you're not like, what? You're not speaking normal human language, like just be normal.
Yeah. That's because someone scripted that person's speech to move units or sell numbers or do something.
It's nice to meet you, Rod.
Rod's
Yeah,
the
Rod, it
man.
was
Rod
was
is
awesome.
a party animal too.
Yeah. I was hanging out with him and his wife. You guys are awesome.
Mhm.
It was a really good, honestly, I wasn't ready to leave. It was unfathomable of the response of everything, and I'm still kind of reeling from it, to be quite honest.
It was a blur. Yeah. Afterwards, I saw Michelle and I was like, man, I got like slightly emotional about it just because to
Yeah.
see it like happen to like, it's one thing to like sit here and bullshit about it. Like,
Mhm.
oh, we're going to do it. Yeah, we're going to do this. But then to actually see all the people, you're like, holy shit. Like
Man,
this happened.
they made us watch that trailer right before I had to go up on panel 1.
Mhm.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, like I could have easily gone teary-eyed on that. I was getting choked up watching the trailer. It's like, because that's when it hit me that it's real. And
Yeah.
you're like, shoot, this is
Well,
actually done.
as a fun fact, so right before when that trailer hit, me and Raul waiting behind the black curtain, and they're like, "Don't open it. We don't want people to see you before you go on." And so I was able to kind of see an aspect of it, and I was completely fine. And this was probably like maybe 3 minutes before we walked on, and I immediately started to cry. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like it's just too much." The fact that everybody was, screaming, not screaming, yelling and
Mhm.
clapping. I was just like, "Wow, this really happened."
Yeah, I don't know if anyone saw my face when I walked in that opening ceremony, but when it was standing room only, like
Mhm.
we needed more chairs. There were people in the back, people standing everywhere.
Yeah.
I know that I couldn't hide my face. I was like, holy
We all
cow.
got emotional, man, and I
Yeah.
think I didn't expect that. Like I'm
Mm.
relatively stoic, carefree, But when I saw that trailer and it's time to go on, I'm like, oh my God, man. Like, we actually did this.
They were fanning my face. They're like, "You're about to go on. You cannot cry." And I'm like, "I'm sorry." Yeah, it was good though. It was good.
And we
I'm
had
so
a
ready.
collection of awesome panelists too. I mean,
The best.
some people
Seriously, like
stole the
panels
stage.
were not real estate, and I keep saying that they
Yeah.
were not real estate. These are the real deal. These people know what they're talking about.
The best.
And I mean, Pat Stone.
And
Big
these are
shout out to
people
Pat
not
Yeah,
Stone.
featured. These are people that are not in the in club for the
yeah.
most part. They're not featured at most conferences because they don't say the right things or pay the right people or don't play politics necessarily.
I want to keep that too, to be quite honest. I want to keep highlighting
Mhm.
individuals. We met a lot of really great people where I was just like, why are you not on, not necessarily
Exactly,
at ours, why are
Ashley.
you not on stage? Like, you have such an amazing background. So I really try to do everything I can to add a lot of those people. And hopefully we can really kind of rear them in whenever it comes time to picking speakers. And those that did get to speak this time around, I really want to make sure we try and involve them somehow because felt like we came really close. Everybody, it was really
Mhm.
nice.
Maybe we could pass the torch and let them be the facilitators,
Oh, there
moderators,
you
and
go.
bring on the new
Not
voices.
bad.
Yeah, it's not a
Not a
bad
bad
idea.
idea. Fox with
No.
the this is Firefox. Got the
Yeah, so
idea.
all you guys can be on the floor. We can all be on the floor working the room and actually talking to people. I think that that's ideal.
Yeah, I think there's I don't know if irony is the right word, but like it's a little bit ironic that much like the front lines of clinical research are the people who know their shit, who don't have the voice often. It's the same way in the crowd, right? Or but you got to be in there and you got to be having those conversations, taking the time, not just there to
Mhm.
collect sponsor money and sell an attendee list.
So-
Oh, you can
Delana,
do that? We got to
it's
talk
not
about this.
yeah,
Oh,
right.
I didn't know you can do
It's not
that.
lost on me too that she says some of them discovered a new skill of public speaking and being on stage. So it is.
I heard that too.
helping.
Another panelist came up and said, I have never had an opportunity to speak out to voices like as a panelist before, ever. And this person has been in the industry for a decade plus.
Wow.
Never had a chance to show the expertise that
I
was
feel like we
developed.
all leveled up. The panelists, the
Yeah.
founders, the audience, like Mario and Eats a Mushroom. You just got leveled up right now.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And that's what it's about, right? I mean, it's like a rising tide lifts all ships. I mean, we're all in it together. So the better it is for one of us, the better it is for all of us.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And there are so many, you have so many panelists out there in the audience. You've got more panelists than years in conferences. There's no reason why someone should have to duplicate.
Right.
Mhm.
And there's so many interesting people in this industry. There's no reason why you should have the same recycled people go traveling everywhere to do it over and over and over and over and over again, including
Yeah.
next week and
I'll be at
probably the
Scope.
week after and
You
the
can
week.
catch me at Scope next week.
Yeah.
I
So,
wasn't
Brad,
going
do
to
you think
name it,
anyone's
but
going
all
to tell you
right.
about SOS at Scope?
Oh
Hey,
man,
Brad, you should do like a SOS meetup at Scope.
that'd be cool.
That's not. I mean, yeah,
Unofficial. Hey,
it's
meet
only
me
a
at
couple
this
days
bar.
from now, but
Somebody asked me if I'm going to Scope. I'm like, man, I'm still recovering. I can't. Like, it's. I think I'm gonna need at least 2 weeks of just like mental relaxing from everything up to the actual conference. It
Going to
was.
Scope, I can't afford it.
Yeah. I don't even know how much it is. I don't even want to know.
It's up there.
For sure.
yeah, it's not cheap. I mean, that's what 3,500 people.
But isn't that one
give
meant to
us a
be
couple
for like
years.
ClinOps executives?
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
different. It's
like-
a different. It's got a different audience, I think, which is
It's
perfectly
not
fair.
frontline. It's not frontline.
No, not
people.
necessarily. But
Mhm.
they, to whatever degree you want to call it. I mean, in fairness, I feel like they're trying to incorporate. I mean, they asked me to come be on a couple panels, so they're, I guess, trying to get at least a few
Come on,
site
man. You're
voices
op
in there.
exec. You're like, come on, dude. You're exec. Like, they it's not the same. But in fairness to them, that's their niche. Let them have it.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Again, everyone's got their own.
And that's one of the
Audience.
better ones. I've actually been. That's one of the better ones.
Yeah, I've never been. It looks overwhelming already, but
It's
I already feel like I'm gonna hide in a corner.
well, the panels there I've been as a guest via a sponsor, and they pay. They had to pay to get stage time. I don't know if that's still on
I'm
the
sure
road.
that's not. I'm sure that's not terribly uncommon across
Right.
the industry. And I mean, hell, there's a conference there's probably multiple conferences every month. Wasn't there like OCT West in between
There's all kinds of
us
shit.
and Scope? Like, there's stuff going on.
But we pay
Mhm.
our panel.
Awesome.
The people on stage paid us $0.00 to be
Mhm.
on stage.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm curious, is there any particular sponsor? I mean, we got approached during the conference for those that weren't already sponsoring us that they will be coming in 2025. So the ones that we don't already know that will be coming, is there anyone in particular you guys would like that you think are really great?
I mean, you know mine. They're orange, and they're big. They start with a V. Y'all know Viva. I love Viva.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd love to see them there. I think there's probably a lot.
There
Coming.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that a lot that again, I think it feels like again trying to keep a sort of like curated sponsorship, right? Not like just anyone with money. Like it's
Right.
got to be
Yeah.
valuable to sites. So
Yes.
and honestly, I mean, there were people who came out that I hadn't, I've seen maybe here and there, but like I haven't seen at conferences or big conferences. So again, I think there's probably a lot of useful resources for sites out there that, again, just like the audience doesn't have or hasn't had the ability to get in front of the right folks. So, I just want to keep seeing stuff that is valuable for sites. Delana is giving a shout out to Block Clone
Yeah, I
Club,
talked to him. He's pretty
which
cool.
Awesome.
I talked to one of their folks as well. Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out for the other organizations that did show up, to see how we were doing and all of that, and that actually approached us and said, "Hey, you
Yes.
guys did well. We appreciate the camaraderie of that,
Shout out
and
APRP. Yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
noticing and for
I throw
Christine.
jabs here and there, but you're one of
Yep.
the good ones
yeah,
out there, and I appreciated that when
All
they
right.
happened.
I mean, I can think of some sponsors where I don't know if I would ask them to come, even if they threw millions of dollars at us. So that's not one
Yeah.
thing. I'd
And
love to.
Doug, I think we've all agreed
Mhm.
in the background and publicly, like, we
Mhm.
don't ever want it to be an influence
Nope.
over the content.
Yeah.
Obviously there are people within these organizations that have valuable insights. There's no question about that. But,
Yeah.
I've gone, even recently, I've gone and wanted to see panels or see talks. And within 30 seconds, it's clear to me that I'm watching a paid advertisement
Yeah.
under the disguise of like how to build a better site. And I'm like, okay, well,
Yep.
no, you're advertising
Yeah.
your tech company. Like, this is not cool, man. Like, you tricked me.
Yeah.
Even, I think I'm pretty savvy, but even I get tricked sometimes.
You get tricked, but people keep going back.
So
I think
I'll call out mine, Ashley.
Yeah.
My dream sponsor, the one that I've always believed in, is definitely either Takeda or Merck.
Ooh.
Oh, I'd
Love
love to
them.
see Takeda for sure.
Love Takeda.
I'll
Yeah.
throw Eli
There was a
Lilly in
Takeda
there
rep
too.
there.
Oh,
Actually,
Eli Lilly, there you go. Yeah.
Shout out
we
to
had a
Takeda Rep
Takeda
was
rep.
there.
Oh
Yes,
yes,
I
to
met
the
with her.
Takeda rep. Yes, I was supposed to. Well, I had the plans to meet the rep, but it just got a little bit crazy. So thanks for reminding
I
me of
think
that.
next year we will have sponsors, like
Yes,
a
for sure. But
drug company.
what I would like to see, I mean, we don't obviously not in the main stage, but I do think because sponsorship does matter in regards to, sites and their studies and, questions and processes and escalations and all of that. I think it would be great to have a section where we have sponsors hold maybe a small deep dive or something on how maybe they could reach out and escalate further outside of their processes, or I mean whatever. I'm just thinking like something
It's
out the book.
Yeah, it's a weird line, right? Because
Yeah.
obviously we are partners in all of this. I want
Yeah.
to hear, like, don't sites want to hear what sponsors want from
Yeah.
sites? Because that's part of the deal, like it
Yeah.
or not. we work for them in many ways.
Hmm.
So again, I think there's valuable insight, but there's a
100%.
line, right, between
Yes.
like broad content and like, oh, here's a paid advertisement.
Well, that
Yes.
might be where put those paid advertisements in the webinars, get them off of the main schedule. People can watch them if they want, but it's not going to go down cramming down their throats. But yeah, I agree. When you can sit there and have a cordial conversation with reps from sponsors and sites, and it doesn't turn into a gripe fest, because we've been to conferences like that. They'll host those sponsor things, and then people, sites just come up there and gripe all the time. There's no solution. And, if you're going to do that, get all the griping online. And then when you come together, start talking about the solutions.
To that point, I mean, yeah, for sure. But even to that point, I really didn't hear what I would consider complaining hardly at all.
None whatsoever. I didn't.
I do think there are instances where we could have been like more focused on some actionables, but I don't think it was complaining, which I know people were, concerned about, I guess. Yeah, I was concerned about even to some degree.
Well, I think what helped with the webinars and talking about it, and then giving the aspect of surveying and keeping the focus, because what I loved seeing was that people were already ready with their questions, like immediately. And it, not just in the panel, but in the deep dive sessions and the breakouts. I was really surprised at how much interaction there was happening, because I've been to other conferences and people do ask questions, but normally, there's usual silence and things like that. I think it spoke to them being more comfortable, one, and two, also how we prepped with the audience beforehand. And that's obviously something I want to keep and maybe even go into further before the conference, so that we had somebody even respond saying that that entire week they were on our website reviewing the webinars to catch up so that they were ready, which I thought was awesome. I really was wondering how many people would actually do that. And there was people making posts about that, and that they were prepped and ready, and that they had never had that opportunity before to make the most of their day.
It's awesome. We're coming up down the last 3 minutes. I guess final thoughts. So give me your out of 10 ranking, like for this first year. How do you guys feel? And I'll go first. I'm gonna say we did 8 out of 10 this first time, and a lot of that's because of the energy. I think there's some room for improvement.
Yeah.
Of course, I want to say
judges were tough on that panel.
I know.
All those thumbs down. Oh my god.
That was fun. So I think obviously, I think we threaded the needle about as well as we could have.
Yeah.
This first time around. Again, I think we all see ways to improve and to continue to get feedback from, the people who we are trying to serve. So yeah, again, I'm still in awe of the whole thing, man. And thank all of you guys.
Go ahead, Ashley.
I honestly was, because it's our first time, I was expecting maybe like a 6 or 7. But the way that I felt it, and the way that I experienced it, I felt like it was mainly on energy. It was like a 10 or 11 for like energy base, which is honestly for me, that was what I was worried about people's energy towards it and how they would feel about it and all of that. And definitely room for execution on the operational end, hands down for sure.
I think the key word here is first year conference. That's what everyone said. First year conference, like we all home run nailed it out of the park, 10 out of 10. If we had this conversation a year from now, 2 years from now, probably somewhere between a 6 and a 7. Like there's definitely room for improvement.
I think for a one-day conference, it's a 9.5. If they would have had like a real breakfast, it would have been a 10. I had to go buy. My coordinator went to go buy a bagel for me. Shout out to Lana.
You just needed that bacon. All you needed was bacon and eggs to make it a 10, huh?
Sausage, egg, and cheese bagel. Yeah, she went. Shout out to Lana. 9.5. I agree with Fox. I think we're gonna look back, and maybe that's to tie it into our classic album, how we get better. I think if we do this right, looking back at this, it'll be like an 8. And the new ones will be like 9s and 10s. So yeah, 9.5.
And hey, man, that's how it should be. I bet any of us go look back at your first 10 podcasts, and if you're not embarrassed by them, then you're not doing it right.
I deleted my first one a long time ago.
Well, again, thanks to everybody who came out, everybody who bothers to listen to all of our content. That's it for today, guys. And I'll be back. Actually, I won't be back next week. I'll be at Scope. So that's it. You guys have a great rest of your week.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody.
Go follow
Thanks, everyone.
SOS.